This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Bonus Bucks is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by 2 men in a junk truck.
Bonus Bucks. Bonus Bucks. Bucks that are a bonus. Get bonus with Bonus Bucks on the Fan. Couple 13-14 passed. I'm Common. He's Tennessee. Hour number 2 begins with 5, 3, 4.
Time now for 5 questions. Well, actually 3, but 5 sounds like more than 4. Question number 1. It's time now for the lowdown in Dinky Town.
Yeah, the Gophers improved to 2-1 in the Big Ten, 4-2 overall with their 27-20 comeback victory over Purdue Saturday at Huntington Bank Stadium. Minnesota trailed by 7 in the fourth quarter when Drake Lindsey led a 70-yard drive, which culminated in a Jamison Gears touchdown reception. That tied the game. Then on the very next play, Coy Parrish intercepted a pass, returned it for a 27-yard touchdown pick 6. Common, what sticks out to you from the Gophers' win over the Boilermakers?
I guess the only thing I can say is it's better to win than lose. That Purdue might be one of the worst FBS schools ever assembled. And did I see this right? We had literally we ran for 30 yards. They ran for like over 200. 100?
Yeah.
How did we even win the game? I did not see much of it. I was about to do one of the best comedy shows in the history of Spicer. Well, it's the only comedy show in the history of Spicer. But Meat Sauce Islander and my other guy were in Spicer. And so the show started at 7:30. So I watched some of the Gopher game, but couldn't see it all. But, and again, like I say, they pulled the fat out of the fire. But, if you remember, Tennessee, after the loss to Ohio State, and let's face it, it's no shame to lose to Ohio State. They got a payroll that's I think they would be over the cap if they were in the National Football League. I think that's how much their payroll is. And that's a really, really good football team. That's an offensive line that's 300 pounds across every guy. I bet most of them will end up playing in the NFL. And the Gophers got smoked. And the coach after the game said, we got, I know we lost, but we've got a really good football team. They did not look like a really good football team against Purdue. Now they won, and so it's, you can say, well, but if they continue to play like that, they won't beat some of the other Big Ten teams, even the ones that you think they, should be even with. Your Iowas, your Wisconsins is. I don't even know who else is on their schedule. They got the Michigan States is and some of the others. But I like Lindsey. I think they got a kid that's a good quarterback, but they're still a long way from. It's like I said all along, and I have nothing against Fleck, and I'll do the old who are you going to get that's better. Seriously, because I just don't think Minnesota will ever be that. I'm sorry to throw a wet blanket Wednesday on a man.
Awfully negative.
But I just don't think. I just think this is. We're never going to be a helmet school, and that's okay. So, but they need to play a little better than they did. But as I said at the beginning of the question, better to win than it is to lose.
Question number 2.
Time now for an in-depth look at the state of hockey.
I think this is the one you're talking about. Came back to earth.
All right. The Wild recorded a franchise record 52 shots on goal. They were 4 for 8 on the power play. Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy each tallied 3 points. Zeb Buium scored his first NHL goal, and yet the Wild lost to the Columbus Blue Jackets 7-4 Saturday night at Grand Casino Arena. Dropped their record to 1-1. Common, what went wrong against Columbus?
Did they play with an empty net the entire game? That must have been what happened, right? They just said, we're going to play with 6 attackers. We're going to try a strategy that's never been done in the history of the National Hockey League. We're going to skate 6 the entire game. What happened to Gus Bus?
He was brilliant in game 1.
Right. He had a shutout.
Yep. I would say, obviously if you're giving up 7 goals, that's not a great performance.
It's not all on him, I'm assuming.
No, it never is. There was definitely some issues in front of him. A guy like Brock Faber, who we've been known to trust and is typically consistent. He made a couple gaffes early in that game. Him and it was Jonas Rodin's first game back, and that pairing gave up a couple goals early on in that game. They were down 2-0 early when they tied at 2-2 in the second period, and at that point they had been pushing and pushing. I thought this is the part of the game they're just going to steamroll Columbus because they were outplaying them. And they just kind of have little mental lapses here or there. At the beginning of every period, they were giving up goals. So I think it's just one of those, like one of your old emails they would just crumple up and throw in the garbage.
Yeah. There's
obviously some things. They're not a perfect team. They have some flaws. If Kaprizov and Boldy don't score, which till this point they have at a pretty good pace, but if those two aren't scoring, then offensively I think they still might have some struggles, especially with Zuccarello out with injury. Some of the defensive stuff, mistakes are being made by guys who have equity in this league, so I'm not as concerned with in that regard. So the Wild now have to take on the LA Kings tonight.
All right, Rosen. So I don't know if this is really an apology, but I just want to explain. I think it was on Wednesday you said, well, we're on the edge of a playoff team, as we were getting ready for the opening night Thursday. Then Thursday we win 5-0. We played almost a perfect hockey game. I go after you. Say, I used to think you were the foremost hockey expert. You steered me wrong. Well, now I got to back up, and maybe you're right. Maybe because they were brilliant, and they
really weren't brilliant. I know the score looks like it's 5-0, and that looks like they were brilliant. But I would say the goaltending was brilliant.
Oh, okay.
But even in that game, they got outshot. They got outchanced by St. Louis. It was one of those where the Wild were opportunistic on their opportunities, and their goalie was stopping the other, and that kind of switched a little bit against Columbus, where we weren't as opportunistic as and we still scored 4 goals, and the power play scored all of them. The power play has been really, really good. But they still have some depth issues 5-on-5. I mean, that second line has basically been non-existent here, and they're already making changes tonight. Foligno is going to move to the third line, Johansson up to the second line. The Russian kid, Yurov, is going to make his NHL debut tonight, so he's in the lineup as fourth line center. But, I know everyone's getting frustrated with Foligno on the second line, and then now Johansson's going to be on the second line. Why aren't the young kids getting more of a shot? I think what people need to understand is the depth on this team from a forward standpoint is just not that good yet. We knew that before the season started. And then when you combine that with Matt Zuccarello's out of the lineup and Nico Sturm's out of the lineup, I think it's hard to think that these young guys are just going to come in day one in 2025 and just have immediate impact. So,
how many points did Kaprizov have? Was it 3 in this game too? Is that 3 and 3?
Both him and Boldy have 6 points right now through 2 games.
So
I think they're like fifth and sixth in the league right now.
So they're on pace. Kaprizov's on pace to have 82
200 over 240.
Think about it.
246, is that the math?
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, it's funny when it rains it pours. You shut out you don't give up any goals game one. You give up 7 the next game. Maybe we'll split the difference this time and give up 3 or 4.
Weird things happen early in the season.
Absolutely.
Question number 3. Programming predicament.
Yeah, lots going on tonight. You got the MLB playoffs. They continue as the Blue Jays host the Mariners at 4 o'clock on Fox and FS1. Milwaukee hosts the LA Dodgers at 7 p.m. on TBS. The Wild, as we just mentioned, they face the LA Kings at Grand Casino Arena at 7 p.m. You can watch it on FanDuel Sports Network, or you can listen to it right here on the Fan. The Wolves host something called Guangzhou Loon Lions tonight at 7 p.m. at Target Center. You can hear that on the Wolves channel and the iHeartRadio app. And then we have 2 NFL football games, Monday night games. You got Falcons hosting the Bills at 6:15 p.m. That's on ESPN. And the Bears are at Washington at 7:15 p.m. on ABC. Common, what are you going to do about tonight's
Programming Predicament?
Go with Rockford Files.
Oh, too late.
I might watch Jeegans tonight. That's actually as programming predicament as you can get. It seems like everybody's playing. I'll watch some Bears.
Bears Washington?
Yeah, I'll watch some Bears Washington just because it's NFC North. I have zero interest in Seattle versus Toronto in the playoffs. Zero interest. I don't know why. I just don't care. I am interested in Brewers versus Dodgers. I like the idea that it's the big bad Dodgers, the biggest payroll in Major League Baseball. If it's not the biggest, it's second. It's either the Dodgers or the Yankees. Defending World Series champions, they're stacked top to bottom. It's like they have an all-star team. Then you have the Milwaukee Brewers, who are small market or mid market, whatever you want to call it. Like they made a couple of mid-season acquisitions that helped teams, a pitcher and a hitter, and they were both instrumental in this in the that second round of the playoffs. As a matter of fact, in the game clincher, I think the pitcher, Miriokowski or something. He pitched like 4 innings of shutout ball. The other kid was his name Vaughn. Somebody else they got, everyday player they got, hit a home run. I mean, they find players. They must have a decent farm system. They can beat you with the long ball, or they can just play small ball. It'll be a lot of fun. I think obviously they're the underdog, and that's the team. And I saw that early. That's why I bet Rosen. Was it how much money did I bet Rosen? Was it $12?
Yeah,
I bet Rosen $12 months ago that the Brewers would make it to the NLCS. And he took that bet because he doesn't understand baseball. He doesn't follow sports at all, if he ever did. So
I always love that one.
He doesn't have the insight that I do. So we'll see what happens. Let's take a break.
And that's it for today's edition of 5 Questions. Well, actually 3 questions, but 5 sounds like more than 4.
Kennedy's got that keyword for the National Cash Contest.
The Fan and 2-minute junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks for their national cash contest. Enter the keyword deposit at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That keyword is deposit. Enter now at KFAN.com. Light Hockey Nights return this Saturday. You can join me, Brandon Molesky, at 5-Hole Sports Bar in Minneapolis from 6 to 8 p.m. Catch Minnesota take on Philadelphia. Enjoy ice-cold Coors Light and play trivia for your chance to win great prizes, including sweet tickets to a game in January. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
The way that Gopher game was playing, it almost seemed like Purdue had scheduled Minnesota for their homecoming rather than Gophers against Purdue for homecoming. Chip Scoggins, esteemed columnist, Fish Wrap Factory West Side. We're close personal friends. We text and talk more than most people know. We're both from Woodbury. Chip wrote about the game in his column. He writes, the Gophers won despite being outrushed 253-30 by one of the worst rushing offenses in major college football. That seems almost impossible, but it happened. That does seem almost impossible. Tell me, if I told you, forget who the teams were, if I said, Tenna, 2 college football teams met on a gridiron. One of them rushed for 253 yards, the other for 30. Who won the game? You would say
I would say the other team won 42-0.
Yes, that's what you would think it is, that they just steamrolled them. They did not. The Gophers, here's what else Chip writes. Gophers' offensive line had a rough outing. The defense missed too many tackles again. Drake Lindsay completed only 47% of his passes, but the Gophers hung around until the Boilermakers predictably self-imploded, and then Lindsay and Parrish made winning plays to allow the Gophers to celebrate. Lindsay led, I don't remember how many yards it was. You stated it in your 5-3-4 question.
The 70-yard drive, yeah.
And then Parrish had the pick 6, and that was really the difference in the game, and turnovers. That's where it says. Turnovers, Purdue had 4.
Big plays and turnovers.
Yeah, the Gophers had 1. The Boilermakers threw an interception at the goal line on a trick play. The receivers dropped a handful of easy catches. They kept alive the Gophers' tying touchdown drive in the fourth quarter with not 1 but 2 face mask penalties on plays that should have been sacks, including one on third down. They kicked a field goal from the 3-yard line. Those gifts opened the door, and the Gophers walked through it. Big picture, Fleck and his coaching staff have issues to solve. They shuffled the offensive line for the Ohio State game. but that unit's not winning the battle of the trenches. Darius Taylor finishing with 32 yards on 14 carries. So again, the coach stating we have a really good football team. And I know why he said, we all know Fleck. He's a motivator. He's a cheerleader. He's a promoter of his program. He's Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. I mean, yeah, he's and he's good at it, at promoting his program. And I did say, I said, this program will never be helmet school. It's never going to happen here. And it never has, except, 67, we went to the Rose Bowl. And then before then, I think we won 3 national championships back in the 30s with Bronco Nagurski. But it can happen in places that never happened before. Look at Indiana.
Yeah.
Indiana last year, I think, got off to were they 10-0 at one time? They had a gaudy undefeated record. Then they finally played, I don't remember who it was. They played a couple of quality clubs and they lost. And again, I think in one of them it got beat rather. My memory's not great, but it feels like I remember they lost handily to a pretty good football team. So then you said, well, there you go. If you have an easy schedule in the Big Ten, you can. But then they beat Oregon. Was it Oregon?
At Oregon.
At Oregon, at Eugene. And Oregon's a really good football team.
They were like number 3 in the nation.
Yeah, and now Indiana has the 3rd spot. Signetti, I can't pronounce the coach's name. He's a football coach kind of a guy, right? He's always got that serious, stern look. He's another, most football coaches, they eat, drink, sleep, breathe, the whole thing. But that team's done it in Indiana, as we all know, was a basketball school. They've never been a football school. No. I think it was 67 when I think it was the Gophers in Indiana shared the Big Ten title, and then one of them I think the Gophers got to go to the bowl games. They'd been to one in, I don't know how it worked. But, so it can happen. I mean, and I watched a lot of that game. And, I was up in Spicer in the hotel room. Deuce was back at home. We watched Nebraska win their game against Maryland. And Nebraska, they're now in the top 25. So
that's who we got this week.
Yeah, my 2 boys' schools, one's number 1 in the nation, the other one's 25. I think there's probably more than 24 spots that separate those 2 clubs, to be honest with you. Because I just think Ohio State, and maybe it'll change. I mean, Illinois did score 16 points. He had 3 figgies and a tutty. And going into that game, Ohio State had only given up 25 points in 5 games. That's almost like, it seems like a pro football team. I'm not going to pull a Rosie and say, I think Ohio State could beat half the teams in the NFL because they couldn't. But that's a really good football team. Obviously, they're a great football team. The sad thing about and we saw what happened in Penn State. The Franklin guy got fired, and he'd turned that program around. His problem was he couldn't beat top 10 teams. I think his record against top 10 opponents was 4-21, and then they just lost to Northwestern Saturday. The week before, who did they lose to? They lost to another mediocre club. They lost back to UCLA, UCLA. The jabronis from UCLA hadn't won a game all year, and Penn State lost. And then Penn State lost. And the reason Franklin is out, because what I've been able to gather from talking to people and reading things, is he was really adamant and vocal about, well, we don't have what Ohio State and Michigan do. Give me that, and guess what I'll do. Yeah. And they finally did. Did I read this right? They had an assistant coach making $3 million a year, their defensive coach. I mean, think about $3 million for a defensive coordinator. And they went out and I think they had plenty of nil money, and they got players, and they did this, and then they go from 3-0 to 0-3, and he's out. Now, and it was a huge buyout, too. It was a large amount of money. But here's the thing. Penn State's a very attractive job, right? And my guess is Franklin will get hired whenever he wants to play. I don't know when he'll be ready to coach again. Probably not till next year, but he'll get hired by somebody because he did rebuild that program. He did a good job. But he asked for the moon, he got it, and then it was just awful. So, but here's the sad thing. I told Deuce this. Apparently, the AD for Penn State was the AD at Temple when he hired Matt Rule, the coach for the Nebraska. Yeah. So there's already the rumblings, and people are starting to speculate.
He already had to respond to it today.
Oh, did he? What did he say? I'm really happy at Nebraska.
Basically, yes. Right. Yeah.
Of course, until you get the job offer, you're happy where you're at. And Tenneby, I know we all you preach for loyalty from the kids, when they go to the transfer portal and all this, but coaches play a different game, right? Especially like in NCAA basketball, they're constantly moving around, right? And, but,
here's what Rule said today during his weekly availability. He said, "This place is elite, and I want to be a great father, and I want to be a great football coach, college football coach. And so I'm going to talk a lot about I'm not going to talk a lot about job openings when they come." He later says, "I absolutely love it here, and I just want us to continue to take the steps needed for us to turn this thing into a beast and have players all across the country want to come here with the best facilities. We have elite fans. I'm just looking at the future, but again, I love that place," talking about Penn State. "I love Pat. I love James Franklin, and I'm sad that it came to an end. I wish him the absolute best, but I'm really happy here."
Yeah. And maybe he really feels that way. And look, I've been to Lincoln. I don't know what Deuce was thinking going to Lincoln, but he did. I could not live in Lincoln. It's like the wind is always blowing 20 to 30 miles an hour. It's really hot in the summer. There's not a heck of a lot. It's the football team is basically it, right? Which is all good and happy. It was a national power for many years. They were under Devaney and then Osborne. I think they've won 3 natties, maybe more, maybe 5. I don't remember, but they've won natties back in the day. So it is a school that at one time was a helmet school. And maybe Rule really would like to get that school back to the thrilling days of yesteryear. But it would be hard for me to blame a guy if all of a sudden, Penn State, Happy Valley, boy, if all of a sudden they come knocking at you and they're going to have more money and they're going to have, you can look at this and you can look at that and you can look at this and they could just, I wouldn't blame him if he left, but it would be cool if he just said, nope, what he said in that statement you read, if he really means it. But yes, you're right. Nebraska comes to town and takes on the Minnesota. That's a Friday night game. It's the Gophers. It's their homecoming, right? Or was the Purdue game homecoming?
I'm not sure.
I don't recall. I thought the Purdue game was homecoming. I don't know. I'm all mixed up. And someone says Matt Rule played at Penn State. I did not realize that. We'll pause. We'll come back. We got plenty to get to. It's been a very fast-paced, action-packed, and as always, controversial Common Man program, and that won't stop. Other side of the break, right here on The Fan.
This football season, Bell Bank is giving one KFAN listener each week $1,000 to pay it forward to a charity of their choice. Just head over to KFAN.com, keyword contest, to learn more and enter today. That's KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Tana B texted me earlier today and said, I got some NFL highlights if you want to do an NFL roundup. Maybe we'll do that next hour.
Nice.
It's great to kill time. Makes it sound more like a sports is your whole life, just sports. I could do my announcer voice, too, if you want me to, but we will do that. Also, got a couple of other odds. Well, I guess we could do some NFL stuff right now and saying that Kevin O'Connell had his weekly news conference. They usually do it the day after the game. They didn't play this weekend, obviously, but he still did one at 12:30. He actually started a little earlier.
Like 12:28 today.
Yeah. And he was asked, I think, second question, who's going to start? Is it going to be Wentz or going to be McCarthy? And he, even the way he answered it, he knew he was like, it was almost like he knew the question was coming, probably rehearsed for it, and then he just kind of blabbered. He really did. It was just, they both got to play, got to have them both ready, and let them get some work in and do this and that. Instead of just saying it's going to be Wentz or it's going to be McCarthy, he said, and then remember when he said something to the effect of, my public answer and my private answer are different, playing that game, right? Like if they even know it's going to be McCarthy right now, well, they don't want to say it this early in the going because then they're thinking that
prepare for him.
Yeah, Philadelphia will start preparing for McCarthy, which is if you're preparing for him, you just say let's just rush him really hard every pass play because he freezes. He's deer in the headlights back there. I think we both get the feeling by the answer. I think it's going to be Wentz. It's not because I don't think McCarthy is the long-term answer. You're 3-2. The Packers 3-1-1. The Kitties are 4-2. It's wide open. I know there's a lot of fans out there that think, I've seen enough, put them on ice, meaning the team, that they're not going anywhere. Well, a lot of these players that have been gone with injuries are coming back. And the team's not going to do what the fans, they're not just going to run up the white flag. They're not going to go anti-Dido on the bit and say, well, this season's going nowhere fast. We may as well see what we have with McCarthy. As you had stated very eloquently on a couple of occasions, there's still plenty of time to see what he has. Right now at 3-2, I think they'll start Wentz. They do. And let's say Philadelphia, and Philadelphia's lost 2 games in a row. But let's say Philadelphia rebounds, they play really well. Wentz just doesn't, maybe not all on him, but the offense sputters. They lose. Okay, let's say they go one more week with them. They take on the Chargers, and let's say the Chargers are all over them. Now you go to 3-4. Let's say the Packers continue to win. They go to 5-6-1, whatever it would be. And then you go, and maybe a couple more injuries, and you just say, you know what? We better just go with McCarthy, because the thing is, even if we're not giving up on the year, Wentz hasn't been very good, so what's the difference? But Wentz, while he hasn't been brilliant, he's 2-1 in that last drive he had in the game. Who's the last team we played? Cleveland? Or Pittsburgh? Cleveland. He looked really good. So I think you tend to agree with me. I think they're going to go with Wentz, don't you think?
Yeah, I think today was the day where KFC, he's going to play this game, I think, for as long as he can this weekend. He's an honest guy. He's typically usually pretty revealing. But I do think he still has a little head coach in him. One, I don't think he wants to throw McCarthy under the bus. He wants to make it seem like McCarthy's got a shot. Yeah. But also, you can also play the game with Philadelphia of now they got to prepare for 2 different quarterbacks who play. McCarthy can run a little bit more than Carson Wentz. Wentz is going to get the ball out a little quicker. So we got to play differently defensively. But I think, McCarthy is practicing today. I did see pictures and videos of him at practice. So that's a good sign from a health standpoint that he's at least close, if not all the way back. But I don't know how now, Carson Wentz hasn't been brilliant, but he's been solid.
Correct.
He's given yourself a chance to win. And given where we're at in the season, I don't know why you wouldn't go back to him and give him a shot. And like I said a couple segments ago, the argument against this is, well, we got to see what we got. Well, to me, you also got to see what you have with Carson Wentz and the team, right? You still have to see what you have with the rest of the team. It's not just a quarterback thing. It's, do we still have a shot at being a playoff team and maybe making a run this year? So you still have to give that a chance, just as much as you need to give J.J. McCarthy a chance. And if you still need to see what you got with J.J. McCarthy, there's still plenty of time to do that.
Yeah.
We have, 11, 12? We still have 12 games this year.
Correct.
So you can go down the line with Wentz for another game. You could go another 4 or 5 games. And at some point, if the season's going the wrong way, you still have plenty of time to get your look at J.J. McCarthy.
That is correct.
And frankly, if that time to see J.J. McCarthy is next year, that's a good thing because you've done well with Carson Wentz and given yourself a chance to win the season.
That's exactly right. You summed it up quite succinctly. And as I said moments ago, very, very eloquently. And what fans have to remember, I had the one guy, it's just so funny, this one sticks in my head. He texted me, he goes, well, you've given up on McCarthy. Well, no, I haven't given up on him. There's extenuating circumstances. And the club hasn't given up on him. Obviously, they let Darnold go. They could have re-signed Sam Darnold, who was, for the most part last year, brilliant. I know he had the awful game against Detroit where he got a bad case of the jitters and he didn't play well. The Rams game, I think, was more on the offensive line. But they could have signed him. They didn't want to. They could have kept Danny Dimes. They didn't want to. Why? They had I think it was out of a friendship and professional courtesy. Rodgers apparently came to Winter Park, the new Winter Park TCO Performance Center, and had a conversation with Kevin O'Connell. And Kevin, because of, again, they have a friendship or a relationship of some sort. And because he is a first ballot, unanimous Hall of Famer, 4-time MVP, you give him that respect, right? You say, okay, yeah, I'll have you come in. They probably sat down. By all accounts, Rodgers wanted to play here. But the way it sounds, it was like, hey, I love you. And it would be great. If it was a different circumstance, a different time, if it would have been a year ago, we may have entertained the possibility. we're going with our guy, J.J. McCarthy. No hard feelings, and they went their separate ways. It's been good for Rodgers. Steelers are now 4-1. He was very good again yesterday. Now, I know it's the Browns. You know, who you play, when you play, all that. Rodgers,
they didn't even let it really be close.
Right.
Yeah.
I was watching the highlight package up here. And again, you're just seeing the highlights. But like a couple of the passes, like the tutty he threw, I think one might have been the last one.
DK Metcalf?
Yeah, well, he's rolling out right, and he just kind of points. The one thing about Rodgers, I think, and I don't know this because I don't talk to him. We don't text or talk at all, even though he looks lonely. But he seems to be in a place, maybe it's the darkness retreats, maybe it's the ayahuasca. I think he has a gal now. Did he get married? Is he married?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe he's just in a different place because when I watch him on the field, it seems like he's Doug growing it. He's smiling, he's laughing, and maybe I've missed sometimes. I'm sure there's been the times where he's angry. But it seems like most of the time he's out there and enjoying himself, and he just pointed Metcalf. He's rolling out and he goes, go there. Move, go. And this is while he's scrambling to his right and he throws a perfect pass. I don't think it was Metcalf, it was somebody else. But anyway, my point is, he's playing very well. He was 21 for 30 yesterday, 235 yards, 2 tutties, and more importantly, no interceptions. Now, if he were playing here, would he be having that same kind of a performance? Would we be 4-1 right now rather than 3-2? It's possible we'd be 5-0. I don't think so. I don't know. And if you remember, the offensive line was a mess early on, and that was really giving McCarthy trouble, and it was also giving that's a call I haven't been waiting for. And he was also giving Wentz some trouble as well. And now you watched Kansas City, Detroit last night. This is what I like about Goff. He knows when to get rid of the ball. He doesn't take many sacks. He gets rid of the ball. He throws accurately because he was getting pressured on a number of occasions. And that's what your McCarthy's haven't learned yet. The youngest. I was watching another highlight package. Jay Fields for the Jets. I don't know if that was just the same sacks they were showing over and over again, but it looked like he got sacked 46 times yesterday.
He looked awful a couple times.
And they're just bad where he's back there and it's the deer in the headlights, like I said, about McCarthy, where he's standing there. It's like, dude, you got to throw the ball or scramble, run. You can't hang on to it like that.
He threw for less than 50 yards yesterday, didn't he?
Was that what it was?
I thought he did. I'll have to look it up.
It was 13-11 was the final score. It must have been just an awful game. And
all those games in London are awful.
Yeah, they do.
They can't move to that city full time eventually because they're never good games.
Is Denver's defense considered?
They're a good defense, yeah.
So I guess I got to give them the credit too. But I'm telling you what, the Fields guy, he hung on to that ball and hung on to that ball, and he
Fields was 9 of 17 for 45 yards yesterday.
It was simply awful, and I don't know if that kid's got a future or not. Now, again, it's not all his fault. The Jets are they're just terrible. But I saw another stat, Timothy. Bijan Robinson, is that his name?
Yeah.
Where would you consider? Top 5 running back, top 10?
Easily. I maybe top 3, maybe number 1.
Really? That good?
Yeah.
The numbers they showed, he is providing 39% of their offensive yardage.
They throw to him a lot, too.
They said that number hasn't been reached since McCaffrey 6-7 years ago.
Sure.
Let me ask you a question. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Bijan Robinson because, as you just stated, he might be the best running back in the league or one of them. Is it also an indictment how bad the Falcons are offensively? Are they bad offensively? I only say that just because sometimes a guy, you give him the ball so much, and the passing game isn't any good, or whatever the case may be, or the receiving core is weak. That by default he again, not to take anything away from him, but is it because he's all they have too, or is that not the case with Atlanta? I'm not paying as close attention to Falcons football as I once did.
So the thing with Bijan is, it's not like they give him it's not like they hand it off to him 25, 30 times a game, because they don't. And in fact, like those in the fantasy football community would say, wish you'd hand him the ball off more. He's really, really good. he just catches so many passes out of the backfield. He's basically the next Christian McCaffrey in that regard of being an elite receiving running back. The rest of the offense was supposed to be littered with guys that had high potential. They spent a first-round pick on their wide receiver, Drake London, who has had moments, but has not been as great this year. They spent a top 10 pick on tight end Kyle Pitts, who at the time was thought to be a generational tight end, and he had a good rookie season and has regressed ever since. Though he's been, I think, okay this year. But after that, you're talking about Darnell Mooney, who was just a cast off from Chicago. Michael Penix Jr., I think the jury's still out on him as a quarterback. Obviously, he did well against the Vikings earlier this year, but other than the game against the Vikings, I don't think he's done much. So I would say it's a combination of he's really, really good. I don't think it's bare. It's not Cleveland Browns receivers there. It's not the bare minimum, but I wouldn't call it top half of the league, the rest of the players.
Okay.
But we saw Bijan against the Vikings. He looked
he looked
amazing.
Yeah, he was. Well, and our run defense has been, that's the other thing. We got guys coming back, and maybe Cashman will make a big difference there. Because somebody's got to, because we've just been gashed with the running game.
Well, and this is a team that's going to run the ball.
Yeah.
Philadelphia. Yeah. Even though Saquon has had a little bit of disappointing, there's still the run game, still their bread and butter. Jalen obviously can run it as well.
What is it? Super Bowl hangover? I can't say that because they were 4-0, right? So I don't think it's a Super Bowl hangover.
It's hard to ever put your finger on one thing. I know they did get a new offensive coordinator. Now with Detroit, that didn't matter,
right?
So. But I do think, given A.J. Brown's attitude so far this season and disappointment with not getting the ball enough, there's something off there, and it might be the philosophy of the offensive coordinator. I think I saw comments from Saquon Barkley like a week ago about, and we just got to get back to our bread and butter, and we got to be running the ball here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting week for them. Right, they started off 4-0. They've lost 2 games in a row. They've struggled. They lost to a very mediocre Giants team, and they're on the verge now of. Remember, was it 2 years ago when they had that late season collapse in Philadelphia?
Yes, they lost last 4 games in a row. I think.
I feel like their game against the Vikings is going to be very telling as to how the rest of the season goes.
Yeah. Were you what did you make of last night's game? Is that kind of what you...
Chiefs?
Did you think...
Well, the thing with the Chiefs is I know their record wasn't great going into it, but Pat Mahomes has been good this year.
Yeah.
And I know the last year or two, maybe the stats have gone down a little bit. He's been really, really good. They've had 0 run game. Their defense hasn't been as good as what we saw last year. And he finally got Xavier Worthy back. They're going to get Rashee Rice back now, and I think he's their best receiver.
Right.
Thought you saw a little bit more from Kelsey last night, a guy who looked like he was ready to retire any moment now. He had some moments last night, even had one where it was a little yard after a little yak, which has been a struggle with him. I think Kansas City, and even they were talking about it on the broadcast last night, if you heard Collinsworth and Tirico saying, we were talking to their coaching staff, and even though they're 2-3, like they're more excited about this team than the one that went to the big game last year.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're going to have more depth now on offense, especially with Rashee Rice back. And, I can see the Chiefs going on a run here, even though their schedule is extremely challenging.
What did you make of the Kitties? They are hurting the secondary.
They look good, though. I mean,
they have 5 guys out in the secondary again. 5 guys. They went out and got the DJ Reed guy. He's a really good cornerback. He was their big free agent acquisition. He's out now. It seems like most of these guys. It's not like last year where they were losing guys for the season. It seems like all the guys right now are going to come back. They just need help in the secondary. And when you're against Mahomes, he carves up good secondaries. Much less. There was one guy for Detroit, and he had a pass breakup. It was his first play of the season. I don't remember his name now. It was his first play, and he broke up a Mahomes that would have been for a first down, forced him to punt or something. But that's what
seemed like that Rock Ya-Sin guy. He seemed to have some bad moments last night.
He's had some bad moments too. Yeah, because I don't think.
Well, kind of all started with that first drive, right, where Detroit marches down the field methodically, getting whatever they want. They took like 10 minutes off the clock, get all the way to the 1 yard line, and you end up with 3 points. To me, you had a chance to really put a statement on that game to begin with.
Well, and the play
and the manner in which they had to go backwards.
Yeah, well, and the play they called was a trickeration play.
Yep.
It was where Goff came out from under center, but as they said, and I did not know the rule until they said it, a quarterback can do that, but he has to get set in the backfield, and he didn't. He never stopped, and he ran. Then it
was a genius call.
It was a brilliant, and he almost dropped the ball. And then he ran into his Amon-Ra St. Brown, who was blocking the guy. I think it was Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they still got in the end zone. Then they were going to go for it again.
Yep. The delay a game.
The delay a game penalty. So then they went ahead and kicked it. And then there was when Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped a pass, and he never drops balls. And that would have been for a first down. It gave Kansas City the ball, and they scored again. So no shame to lose.
You got less margin for error when you're playing teams like Kansas City.
That's exactly right. But I do think, I don't know.
But Detroit's got a tough game this week, too, don't they? I mean, they got, what do they got?
They play, who do they play? I don't recall, but yeah.
They got Tampa Bay.
Yeah, Tampa Bay. That's Monday night, right? Or they got the Monday nighter?
Yeah, Monday night.
Yeah, at the Litter Box. How good was Mayfield again last night? I'm telling you, some guys just get better.
Season ends today. He's the MVP of the league.
He's so good. He's been so good. It's been fun to watch. We'll break. We'll come back. We have one more fast-paced, action-packed, controversial hour coming next. You're in the Common Man program on The Fan.